book is called Don't Kick Up a Fuss, Gus, and was written by Adria Meserve. Gus was a little zebra who lived in Africa. He loved to gallop and jump about on the hot, dusty savannah. One morning, Gus was playing. It hadn't rained for ages, so the ground was very dry. He stamped his hooves, he reared, he bucked, and made the biggest dust clouds ever. Just then, Mum called Gus. "Come along, dear, we're going on a long walk." "But I want to make dust clouds," said Gus, digging in his hooves. "Don't kick up a fuss, Gus," said Dad. "It's too hot here. The grass is dry and tough, and the river has nearly dried up." Before Gus could say anything more, his family had trotted off to join the rest of the herd. They walked along a riverbank and through a forest. "Walk nose to tail," Mum told Gus. "No galloping off on your own," said Dad. "Walking is boring," moaned Gus. "I want to go home." Gus's family did their best to make the journey fun. Dad sang 5 Little Zebras with Gus, and Mum sang Here We Go Round the Acacia Tree. When Gus got bored of singing, Grandma played I Spy. "Are we nearly there yet?" said Gus. "We're much closer," said Grandpa. "Let's play Count the Mongooses." But then they got stuck in a traffic jam. They waited and waited and waited to cross a bridge. Gus got really fed up. "Don't kick up a fuss, Gus," Dad said. "There's nothing we can do." When they finally reached the other side of the bridge, Gus bolted. He leapt between a giraffe's legs, over an elephant's trunk, and galloped out of sight. Gus's family were furious when they finally caught up with him. "We're going to finish this walk even if we have to carry you," said Dad. "Don't kick up a fuss, Gus." But Gus wasn't going to give in just yet. He kicked up the biggest fuss ever. Eventually, Gus wore himself out. "If you've quite finished, we'll carry on," said Dad. "We need to catch up with the others." Mum gently pushed Gus along as they continued on their journey. "No more fussing," she said. At last they stopped and rested for the night. "It will all seem better in the morning," said Mum, nuzzling his mane. The next day they made better progress. Gus knew there was no point in kicking up a fuss. They crossed a river, trekked up and down a mountain, and finally reached the top of a ridge. From there they could see a lush green valley before them. "We're nearly there," cried Mum, and pointed at something glistening in the distance. Gus joined the other zebras as they bounded down the hill, leapt off the grassy bank, and landed in the waterhole. Gus thought it was wonderful. He hoped he'd never have to leave this place. Gus jumped off the rocks, dived into plunge pools, and swooshed down waterfalls. He made the biggest waves ever. "We're all getting wet," cried Gus's dad. "Don't kick up a fuss," shouted Gus, laughing. The end.